That's an eternity of basketball ahead of us. Another beautiful steal perpetrated by Todd White. The action continues. A let's go situation here. Alexei Deacon going up against a double team. Jeffrey Moore has open access to the bucket. What you saw from that normal replay of that last bit of action was Juan Fernandez actually wanting to dish off the against Master Jaworski. We're crossing the Twilight Zone. That's an eternity of basketball ahead of us.
At San Miguel, we believe in the Filipinos' potential to rise to our greatest challenges and support our collective aspirations for a better world. Malasakit is part of everything we do. We uplift the lives of generations of Filipinos. We are building a better world. Today, our efforts are focused on building a more resilient and globally competitive Philippines. For us, this means a nation with the necessary infrastructure to thrive in the global economy. A nation that enjoys energy security and food security. One that can attract the kind of investment that will create support projects that will generate economic vitality. A nation where prosperity is widely shared. We focus on industries on which the country's future depends, and we work to balance economic development with sustainability. This means protecting our natural resources and creating strong, cohesive communities where every Filipino has equal access to a better future. This means forging ahead with projects that will transform the Philippine economy and, more importantly, our communities.
I believe that San Miguel has the capability and heart to do it. The lesson we learned from the past offers so much potential for the present. They shape our sense of what's possible.
At San Miguel, our ambition comes from the hope of leaving a world that will be better for our children than the one we found. San Miguel Corporation, your world made better.
Welcome to Eternity of Basketball. We're part of the Globally Ballin Network. Check out globallyballin.com for original articles, audio and video projects, and all the shows on the Globally Ballin Network. And catch Who the Heck Are We? Latest episode nila, episode 137. The boys of Who the Heck Are We? That's Juancho, Diego, and Claro. We're going to talk about the first round of the UAAP. Most trending episodes, Bogs Adornado still at number 1, but Bobby Joseph there, Agbay is there. All these new episodes are climbing up in that list. Which one's your favorite? Keep watching on YouTube. Catch live episodes on the Twitter X page of Globally Ballin. We're streaming there right now. And Linktree/Globally Ballin for easy access to all of that. All right, here we are. I'm Charlie Cunha together with Sid Ventura and Jay Mercado. He has made an appearance sa araw na ito. Buti walang pasok si Jay. Okay, so wait, so we have to go quickly, kasi sobrang lawak ng diskusyon na gagawin natin today. He played sports, he cheered about and for sports, he wrote about it, he commentated on it, he hosted shows about it. So we have to bring him in kasi ang daming pag-uusapan eh. Kilala na ninyo to, nakadalawang appearance na sa show natin. Si Sir Sev Sarmenta is with us today. Sir, maraming salamat. Finally, solo episode para sa iyo.
Good morning. It's nice to see you without Noel.
That's right. Don't tawagin Sir Sev. Sir, let's dive into the discussion right now because there's so much to talk about. In the hierarchy of all these sports that you've covered through the years, where does basketball rank?
Well, it has to be top. of course, that's where we all gain our roots from. That's the first sport we probably all love, and it's obvious in the writings of Jay. He's caught in the past, of course. Charlie and Sid, you can tell by their writings and the way Charlie commentates, there's a love for the game. I think basketball will have to be number one. If the second question is which is next, it will probably be volleyball for me.
Yeah. So basketball, volleyball, okay. So those would have been our guesses for sure. But tell us about your affair with basketball, your love affair with basketball. How did it start? How did you get into that? And then eventually, obviously, you played. But siguro, hindi kaya mag-varsity in that level. So, nag-commentate na lang tayo. Parang ganun yung story ko eh.
Don't we all? We all tried out for some team, even the midgets team, but never made it and come to the conclusion that pang-intrams lang tayo. I lived in Santa Cruz, Manila. And behind our house is a basketball court. It was called After 7 because I think people started drinking after 7. It was a street basketball court, and there you learned how to play basketball sa kalye. You learn how to play with tricycle drivers, yung nagtitinda sa palengke, middle-class families. I stayed there for 24 years in Santa Cruz, Manila. Joy Jonicio played in our area because he was part of the Tirso Cruz the third team back then. Pip loved basketball. He was Badnang Tondo sila nakatira. So Tirso was there, and some of the people who came out of our neighborhood were the singer, si Yuson, who is now, I think, Sponge Cola yata ang ano niya. And we had one youth player, si Rodel C, who was kasabay nila Coach Leo Austria sa Masagana 99. And it was a nice neighborhood. You learn how to be humble, and at the same time, I learned how to referee there, actually. I also learned how to MC there, all the intercolor openings, the inter-barangays. It was a nice formation. I hope I can get back there, visit someday, and relive some memories there.
Sid?
Sir Seb, how did you get involved naman in cheerleading?
By being loudmouth. Well, in high school, it seemed to be a natural activity. Wala talagang malakas ang boses, ang ingay ko talaga. So I tried out in high school, fourth year high school. I was part of the cheerleading squad ng Blue Bubble Battalion. Then all 4 years of college. Masaya nga, first year, we lost to LaSalle and Limeng Beng. In fourth year, the closed door game, we lost to Chito Loizaga and the others. But in between, we had the championship with Jerry Versosa. Then later on, sila Steve Watson, of course. Joy Carpio was my classmate, as well as Fritz Gaston. It was fun to copy math from Joy Carpio. He was good in math, actually. Ang lalaki pa na sulat ni Joy. Kaya masarap katabi si Joy. Ang laki na sulat niya. I mean, and Joy was a delightful classmate also, actually.
No, si Sir Sev, obviously, we should go in right away to our first segment.
Yeah.
Carla, let's enter the time capsule already kasi naghanda na mga magagandang photos si Sid para sa episode na ito. Let's enter the time capsule, go back in time, and let's show picture number 1, which shows you that at a very young age, nagsasalita na sa mikropono si Sir Sev Sarmenta. Sir, can you tell us about this? What's going on here?
Ang hirap sa Facebook, bistado yung buhay mo eh. I was part of a group called the Ateneo Catechetical Instruction League. I was part of it for 4 years. Pag wala ng MC, ako MC, I think this is one of those first communion masses. I was the lector sa church. A lot of people, when they see this, I think it's a church in Project 4 yata or somewhere there in Quezon City.
What's that on your shirt? Ano itong nakalagay sa shirt?
Asil ako, Ateneo Catechetical Instruction League. Ang likod niyan, actually, it was a recruitment shirt eh. Asil ako, nakaligay sa likod, sana ikaw rin.
Okay.
It was a nice organization. I learned a lot. I was also part of the caroling for 3 years. And here's an inside point. I was the choreographer of the group, even when our former Ateneo president, Father Jet Villarin, was the conductor. I wanted to show everybody that, dancing need not be limited to girl choreographers or gay choreographers for that matter. And my gay colleagues and girl classmates enjoyed it and sumusunod naman sila.
Nice, very nice. Mga ilang taong kayo po rito sa picture
It
nito?
should be 19, 18, 19, 19 or 20.
Teenager si Sir Sev dyan, guys. Ha? Yeah, so galing nga. So nahanap nga namin ito.
Sige,
And,
kung ano pang baul
bata-
nyo ang dinukot yan. Sige.
No, this is so let's immediately jump to the second photo already, Carly. Kasi pinag-uusapan na nga rin ni Sid yan, no? The Blue Bubble Battalion. These are some of your friends. That's Sir Sev on the left side, yun nasa likod, ha?
Yeah.
Diba?
This was the last batch of Ateneo NCAA cheerleaders before we transitioned into the UAAP, and Ateneo, of course, did very badly in the first couple of years. This was the last batch of, tingnan mo, konti lang kami. That's the banda, but that time was not even the college band. The band that time was the high school band that had to do 2 games. Forced to good sila kasi they were on scholarship. Many band members were on scholarship, so they had no choice but to do 2 games. Masaya pag both the juniors and the seniors would win championships. Kasi nung araw, ang schedule, hindi gaya ngayon, babae sa umaga yata, tapos seniors sa gabi. So dati, 2 games ka, juniors. And seniors. And sometimes, nung juniors kami, we would help the college in the cheering. Tapos sila naman tutulong pagka ano. It was a fun time. I loved halftime because we would go down, tapos babatuhin kami ng mga pollen at saka pera. Yung pera pinupulot ko kasi wala akong pera, estudyante ako noon.
Yeah, most of the time sa Loyola Center yan, di ba?
Most
of the time sa Loyola Center ginagawa yan.
Not really. Most of the time Rizal Memorial.
I see. Okay.
Pagka big game, siyempre Araneta Coliseum back then. When I see Araneta nowadays doing the PBA, I'm wondering how I could dance on that very small space. Of course, that's 100 pounds. That's 100 pounds ago, But to me, Araneta Coliseum is like home. So many things have happened in my life in that place.
Siyempre.
Lahat naman tayo. Sir, when the halftime came, saan kayo? Sa taas, leading the crowd, or sa baba, leading the cheers? We had assignments. Halimbawa, pag big game, pag Ateneo Lasal finals, it's full force. Pagka kuminsan, in my younger years, we had George Javier do funny things on the court. We had a person named Noel who was the human megaphone. Kaya niya sigawan si referee Kahanding from the top of Araneta. Kahanding! Oy! Tawagan mo yan! Diba? And really loud voice, Sometimes, pagka that rule back then, hanggang ngayon, the team that was leading will go out first. So, ako, dahil TV major ako, as you see on the graphic, kuminsan sasabihin ko sa mga kasama, huwag muna tayong lumabas. Bakit? Commercial pa eh. Mamaya na tayo lumabas. Then, at that time, either Joe Cantado or Dick Ildefonso would say, on your screens, the Ateneo Blue Bubble Battalion. Well, di naman nila kukunan yung pairs. Nasa locker room ba? So, kami yung kinukunan nila. It was fun. It was a joyful time. It's a nice story. I also danced in 2 openings of the NCAA with the other schools. What we did back then, there were 4 representatives from each school, and you would visit all the NCAA schools. So I've been to La Salle, Letran, San Sebastian. We would visit all the schools before going to classes in the morning, rehearsal 7 to 9, but we would dance on the 2 opening dates on weekend. So Saturday and then Sunday, we would do the dance. It was so much fun. I got to know cheerleaders. In fact, knowing the other cheerleaders from the other schools avoided a fight in the streets sa Araneta Coliseum against San Beda. Hinarang kami sa San Beda. Father Jed Villarin, who was with us, one of my friends, Nani Lim was there. We had one of our female classmates there. Hinarang yung Volkswagen namin. Ayaw kami palabasin ng San Beda. Lumabas ako nakita ko yung kilala kong cheerleader. Sabi ko, binulungan ko. Tapang yun, dami nyo kasi. Ito, may kasama kami babae, palusutin nyo lang kami, tapos bahala na kung anong mangyari. To be fair to the Bedans, they let us through. Pero
ilang Our Father yung ginawa ng amin. Rin para kami.
I was about to ask, sir, kasi 70s, everyone knows that was a very turbulent time, diba, for college sports, NCAA. Diba? So I was going to ask you if you had any like memorable or not so memorable moment that centered around, clashes like that.
I have two. Sa Rizal Memorial, may biglang mga taga-Mapua, nilusob kami sa likod. Habulan and all the esquinitas of Rizal Memorial, those little streets.
Yes.
But being also, I was once the manager of the volleyball team in high school. I knew the little esquinita, so alam ko saan nagtatago yung Mapua. But the funny part was we had a harap-harapang away with Lasal. We had one of our softball players with us, and he was carrying, di ba, may mamunlok dati sa Cubao. Bumili kami ng siopaw. Tapos ito na yung Lasal. Murahan. Di pa, wala pa ang tawagan ng squatter at that time, di ba? Walang murahan. Tapos mami ang konti, yung kasama ko, nilusob na kami. Sabi niya, paano to siopaw? Fire! Binato niya yung siopaw. Pak! Sapol yung kalaban namin. Sabi ko, sayang yung siopaw. Siyempre, estudyante ko yung
Sayang yung siopaw. Sayang yung siopaw.
At saka, di ba yung siopaw ng mamulok, ang laki talaga. Di ba yung may itlog sa loob, alam ka naman, pulutin mo, pagkatas din naman yung tao. It was scary, Sid. I think people would hide the stickers of their cars. It was scary. To the point that Ateneo had to leave the NCAA. Father Jho Cruz, the late Father Jho Cruz, said, that's enough. This is too much.
Oo nga, tama. Kailangan mag-ano na. Sir, yung mga sayaw na sinasabi nyo that you would perform, anong klaseng sayaw yan? Kasi ngayon, di ba, puro mga
We had Bobby Ongkiko. We had Bobby Ongkiko, the choreographer, who was from, alam mo naman ng JRU, no? JRU was the dance school of the NCAA. Tan, 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 tararara, bingo J, bingo R, bingo U. And they would post this, and we do I remember the Rock Around the Clock, and ano ba yung isang kanta, I Go Where the Music Takes Me. It was fun because we would change partners and we'd get to know the girls from LaSalle, from Letran. Trinity was a part of the NCAA back then. It was fun. To this day, I still see occasionally one of them from Letran still calls the Blue Eagle Gym ang sabungan sa Katipunan. And siyempre, taga-Letran yun. Ayaw kong kaaway yun.
mga siga nung mga panahon na yun. But, so, you graduated, natapos kayo sa Ateneo, sir, ng comms ninyo. How were you involved in sports after, or were you involved in sports immediately after, or may break yun bago ka
Actually, totally wala. I was in advertising and public relations, but I still play basketball for the, meron kaming liga noon, the interagency. So, nakalaban ko yung tatay nung friend mo, si Vasquez.
Si Tony
Dwayne.
Vasquez,
Yeah.
Yes, Tatay Dwayne. Yeah.
Yeah, who became the coach of Alaska eventually. What's his first name, Charlie?
Tony.
Tony Vasquez. Here's the fun part.
Tony,
I shoot 2 jump shots from the corner. Pasok pareho. And then my next 3 shots, block lahat ni Tony Vasquez. Wala na akong na-shoot pagkatapos. It was fun. I took a break from that. And then I was really into broadcast, voicing commercials, doing a lot of freelance work. Until the sportscasting thing came along.
I think that's the next
And how did that come along? Paano nangyari yun, sir?
When we were editing stuff, and as you take a look at Al Mendoza, and that's Jerry Jack, who still works with us nowadays, Stats.
Yes. Yeah.
Who plays very good basketball, yan si Jerry. Anyway, ganito. When we would edit stuff, we would turn off the sound of the video. And then the director would say, sige na, anuin mo na, paandaran mo na. So, Joe Cantado would come out, di ba? As you take a look at the running of Aaron Torres, unable to secure the basketball for the other people on there. And so, tapos lolokohin ko talaga. Joe Cantado was just a natural second voice sa akin. Kahit, in fact, nung sa Ateneo, going back to the cheerleading days, we even had the 2-on-2 Georgia Pierre. And I was the annotator doing Joe Cantado, of course. Second voice ko si Joe. Then, sabi ng director, puro kakalokohan, mag-audition ka nga. He was working for Vintage at that time. So I auditioned. I actually passed for the TV slot because Pingoy Pension was supposed to go to the States, but Pingoy stayed. And nicely enough, I ended up sa radio, which was better. So I had to learn how to do it, actually. But the funny part of my audition was the second part I had to do. The producer said, "Sir, can you do a Jho Cantada half a quarter?" So the guys at Vintage were laughing like crazy because, look at this, Romy Quintanar, who was with me at the time. Romy Quintanar looking like a armada, a giant battleship in the ocean of forgetfulness, di ba? Yung mga hook ni Jho Cantada. And then I passed, then I learned my lessons doing PBA radio back then.
Sir, sino kasabay niyo nun? I understand, from 82 to 85, staples talaga niya, si June Bernardino, Coach Gayoso, sino pa ba? Si Danny Cebrano, and of course, Pingoy, Steve Catan. Pero kayo, nung 86, may influx of new broadcasters who came in eh. Sino kasabay niyo nun?
Actually, I love to say that, you know this, Charlie and Sid, no, and even you, Jay, the best part of sports is when you're the youngest in the room. So I was the youngest at that time. Ed Pixon already did the radio coverage for BBC back then, pero hindi pa sumama si Ed. So I was the youngest kasi sabi ko, Steve Catan had left di ba? Ang natira si Joaquin Trillo. Kinito was a consultant muna. Andy Howe was already there, of course. Jho and Pingoy were the anchor. Maliit pa yung team. I was the last addition to that group. But I will never forget Pingoy. Pingoy was, iba yung mentoring ni Jho, iba rin yung kay Pingoy Pension. Pingoy graciously gave up kasi si Jho mas marami siyang appearances. Si Pingoy 5, he gave 3 of them to me. Sabi ko, sobra naman, matuto ka. Sige, bayan mo na. Parang Pingoy was so fatherly about it. In fact, his son was a classmate, si Joey Pension, who passed away, who also played for Ateneo, but he passed away recently. Pingoy was a father figure for the group, actually. I don't think a lot of people, but I know also a lot of people who think Pingoy Pension was probably one of our best anchormen ever to cover the PBN.
Yes, absolutely.
His run was really short lang kaya a lot of people really don't remember him, but he was really one of the best.
Can you impersonate him? Can you impersonate him?
Hindi ko kaya. Pero I can and Willie Marshall, our present commissioner, would die with pag Pingoy Pension ang umupo. Kasi si Pingoy requested all kinds of stats. Front court scoring, back court scoring. We didn't have Fidel Mangonon back then. Hindi pa sophisticated masyado. Joe Concepcion, the old guy, would just walk up and give us the stats. Di ba? Pingoy Pension, wala. He was unique. Ang magaling kay Pingoy, he was quite a wordsmith. Marami, di ba yung cardiac game, kanya yan forever. Forever sa kanya yun. And the thing about Pingoy, because when I worked now with Vintage as producer, in the morning after his coverage, he'd watch the whole game again. Wow, sabi ko, grabe. Sabi ko, and he was so hard on himself. Mali. Sabi ko, sir, okay naman yung... Hindi, mali kasi ganito. He would rewind it. And it was such a... I learned how to review, but probably with a lighter view of it. And it was Francis Ochoa, they told me, hey, sir, cool ka lang kasi real time kayo eh. Kami sa print, we have time to think about it.
Right. Sir, and Charlie probably also knows this because Charlie also started in radio. No? Pero for our viewers, what's the biggest challenge or difference covering games on radio compared to TV?
Let me start by telling a story. I was in a taxi going home from somewhere, and our dear friend Boyet Season was on air. And alam mo naman si Boyet, no? Samantala, ang bola, so the third quarter, lamang ang so-and-so. Then the taxi driver tells me, sir, napakalaos naman yung announcer na yan. Nakilala ko nito. Bakit naman? Hindi ko alam kung nasaan ang bola at ano yung score. So, tinext ko si Boyet, wag mong iwawala yung bola, sabihin mo yung score kahit kalimutan mo ng lahat, yung score mo kakalimutan.
Yeah.
And that's the way to answer your question, Sid. No, the viewer or the listener on radio is interested in 2 things: where the ball is, who has the ball, and what the score is, and how much time is remaining. Yan ang basic. Sa TV kasi, kami ni Charlie, we can let the graphics do it for us. We can just mention it occasionally. But on radio, they hate it when you don't say the score. immediately. That's yun ang lifeline ng radio.
Score and time, no? Kaya may sign na nga sila doon sa tabi ng radio panel, score and time.
Yeah,
diba?
we had a great producer dati, si Det Ramos, who became TV producer also. I'll pull back so you can see this. She would raise her finger this way, and she would raise her finger to tell me that I have not said the score enough. And sa akin ngayon, kahit nasa TV ako, still go back to the score, the time, the score, the time. And Charlie and I do this. Coming out of the commercial, you say the score and the time right away.
Yes. Tama yun. Sir, tsaka I wanted to ask you, so ito si Al Mendoza, kasama mo dyan sa radyo. Sino yung mga radio panelists noong time na yun, pumasok kayo?
Una kong partner si Romy Quintanar, who would do the radio coverage, and at halftime, he would do his man-on-the-ball stuff. Then, I had Joaquin Trillo for a while. Then, Ed Pixon and I would alternate. He would anchor the first game. I would be analyst for the second game, and we'd reverse. I probably learned so much doing that with Ed Pixon because I love Ed Pixon for the life of me. We never had any conflict between us because Ed was, to me, to this day, I think Ed among us is the best in not losing the ball. Ed feels that you have to identify kung sino yung foul. Kung minsan, Charlie, nangyayari, no, na foul, hindi natin nasasabi it's a foul on, but Ed Pixon was very particular because he always thought about the viewer who wanted to find out kung sino yung foul, ilan na yung foul, ilan yung team foul. May graphics na ngayon no? Noong araw naman wala namang kami suporta sa and radio, wala ka namang visual.
Someone saying hi to you, sir, Mr. Ernesto Loizaga.
Wow, Ernesto, the one of the best streak shooters ever to play in the PBA. Pag mainit yan, mainit.
Thank you
for watching, Joey. Salamat. Si Ver Santos nanonood din kanina. Also from Australia. Parehong Australian former guest natin.
Anong oras na doon? Daylight saving time pa yata sila ngayon.
Sir, doon sa radyo, balikan ko lang yung you mentioned something about yung what about mode of communication? Sabi niyo kasi importante score and di ba? What about mode of communication? How do you connect with the audience?
Noong unang English pa kasi here's the joy of Bobong Belis's participation. He wasn't so good in Filipino, no? So on Saturdays, ang PBA dati was Tuesday, Thursday, and Sunday. So he asked the production on Friday, i-assemble niyo yung radio coverage ni Sev, isabay niyo doon sa TV. And he would coach me, tell me what to do. Tamali ka dito. He always considered himself our first listener. But I thought we made a better connection with Al Mendoza and later Chino Trinidad, when even Jimmy Javier later on, when we started speaking in Filipino. Kasi, pwede mong sabihin ang mga hindi mo pwede sabihin sa TV. Halimbawa, yung sa radyo, pwede mo sabihin, patay ang butike. Alam ng lahat ng naglalaro ng street basketball. When you say it on TV, it sounds mali, di ba? But when Chino says it, patay ang butike. Alam mo naman si Chino. And Chino would also do it like, alam niyo naman tong player na ito, sa gamitan ho ng utak, medyo kinukulang ho ito. Naku, you love and hate Chino. Dalawa lang yan si Chino, di ba? I thought we did a better job, Jay, when we started speaking in, and when Al Mendoza came along, alam ni Al yung audience. He was clear to him. Sabi niya, ang ating audience, malinaw, security guard, driver, ang mga mangingisda na lumalabas sa laot.
Yes.
And here's the fun part, they would even write letters. We had a little feature there, the PBA mailbox. Wala pang email nung araw. Kung meron mo kayong request, mga player nyo, radyo talaga, di ba? Parang may mga request kayo. And
Mr. DJ,
I would interview him before the game. I had this little cassette wherein I would interview. I think back then I had a better relationship with the players and the imports because I would conduct interviews with them. Even Sonny Jaworski, I managed one interview with him. I thought back then I had a better relationship with the PBA players back then. I think, Jay, we were better off when we started speaking in Filipino. Saka magaling kay Ed, di ba? At saka kay Romy, nakakabisaya sila eh. Maayong gabi. Maayong gabi, ganun yung tanan, di ba? Pag gumanon yung Ed Pixon, di ba? Nakaw, Diyos ko, litraton to.
That's the commissioner of the PBA right now.
And two of the people there have passed away already. Butch Muñeco, of course, my twin brother. Angie Pasqua, who played for San Sebastian Juniors, was one of our scorers, PBA. And one of the guys who used to put the letters on the scoreboard in an ancient time, kita mo pa yung mantika nung kinain nila kuminsan on the screen. If you look at old PBA games, black and white yung graphics na yan, andun pa yung mantika ng kamay nila kuminsan. And Ramir Bulatao, who's just over my shoulder there, became one of our cameramen, of course.
Right. And he's still around.
He doesn't do PBA, I think, anymore.
Wala na.
Yeah, mo na yung Willie Marcel.
Saan ito, sir? Sa vintage offices or sa venue?
This is in the Ultra sa taas.
Ultra yan. Sa Ultra yan.
Sa booth. Yeah, doon sa booth sa taas. We had to move upstairs because Joe Candada wanted to smoke during the game.
Yeah.
Diba? And Joe would say, isa na lang ang bisyo ko, aawayin niyo pa ako. And he hated the security at Araneta. Jay, alala mo nung araw, Toyota Crispo, punong-puno ng usok. If you look at the video, the ones that we show in the Toyota events, kita mo yung video, puro usok. Kasi lahat nag-UOC, di ba? Si Edo Campo would be smoking, all the other guys would be smoking, and we had to move. Nung lumipat sa Ultra, the primary concern was, one, can we see the action? Two, but Joe gagawa natin ng paraan yan because he loved it because he could smoke like crazy.
Yes, he was also smoking like crazy. Is it true na may brandy rin siyang katabi or
wala,
may drinks? Hindi naman totoo yun. Okay.
Yung after.
Afterwards. How did you branch out, sir? So, syempre, nag-radyo ka muna, then eventually TV ka na. Tapos, when did the wild world of sports happen for you? Suddenly, you were covering all sorts of different things. Did you went to the PBL? Nag-UAAP? I mean, how did that all...
Yeah. In the course of things, you eventually, in your relationship, magkakaroon ng differences. So, if we talk about local coverages, I moved out of Vintage in 1996. And then I went to Silver Star to do the PBL, the UAAP, and the Marlboro Tour with Channel 4. We had a nightly sports roundup there. 97 was probably one of the most enjoyable years of my life because I even went to the SEA Games in Jakarta that year. I was really busy that particular year in 1997. The UAAP was fun back then because it was already very commercially viable. Dami na namin commercial back then. But I think hindi pa siya balanced as a league kasi masyadong malakas ang UST, LaSalle, Ateneo and UP weren't so good during that era. So unlike now, nag-shift yung momentum and UP of course is a better team now. UE is getting better. Have you noticed? UE is slugging it out with the rest of the... And now Ateneo is not doing so well, although they've won a couple of games in succession. Ngayon yata yung Ateneo LaSalle, no?
Yes, mamaya, 6:30. Yeah. Yes. Sir, even when you transition to outside of vintage, kasi Silver Star was parang it was another level of vintage yet, pero did you how can I say this nicely? Yung level of not the quality, pero parang vintage was parang the gold standard, and then you go over to Silver Star. Did they look to you for advice on how to do their coverages since you were already the veteran guy?
I was the producer that year, 97, for the UAAP and the PBL coverage. The only reason I left Silver Star was that the NBA called, and that's a different. That's another story.
We have a photo of that as well.
But to be fair to Silver Star, they were ahead of everybody else. They had golf. They had so many events. They were also into entertainment. They were probably they were ahead of Solar. They were ahead of even ABS-CBN at that time. Hindi pa umusbong ang ABS Sports that time. It's just that the UAAP became difficult for Silver Star nung tinaasan ng ABS-CBN yung bid, of course. Then that's a different
story. Laking issue.
That's a different battleground altogether.
Ngayon may issue pa rin dyan.
Because I think Louis Carroll claimed that they sidestepped his right of first refusal. I think it was in his contract. So those, I'm not sure of the legal parameters of that. Of course, Charlie would probably know better on that. But it was, to be fair to Silver Star, they were aggressive. They were the only difference probably is that in terms of personnel. When I left Vintage, it was in good hands. Actually, Noli Yala was coming up. Gino was beginning to be anchorman. In terms of lineup, also, we were okay. We had Waki Trillo, Jimmy Abel, who were Vintage guys also. Anthony Suntay was there for a while. Joe Torquato was Silver Star, never nag-vintage.
Yeah. Can we see the next photo, Carla? I think it's vintage pa rin.
Yeah, vintage pa rin.
Yeah, vintage pa rin. So.
Yeah, I was curious when I saw this. I want to know what's going on because obviously the panel is Ed and Butch. Why is everyone else?
This is halftime, I think. That's Cathy De Leon, who is probably one of the first courtside reporters that we have. No?
Usap ko siya the other day.
Mabuti. Si Cathy, let's say hi to her. No? That's Willie Marshall. Magandang may racket kami pag Sabado. Kasi we wouldn't cover the games on Wednesday and Friday yata sa PBL, walang TV time. But on Saturdays, full blast kami with the TV coverage. So we had an extra source of income when Vintage decided to cover the PBL. I was the producer for this one. So I think I have a headset on listening to the thing.
Right. For the benefit of our watchers, also, what does a producer do?
You worry about everything. I think what you do is you set the outline to make it very simple of the coverage. Well, OBB, teaser, do we do this? Do we do that? What do we add? What will the panel? You write. It helps if you're a writer. I know a little bit about writing. You write the script. Butch was great to have around because Butch was the natural writer, and he would correct me. Pare, mali yung team standings mo, mali yung analysis mo ng Butch would always point this out because it was Butch is he went away too soon, Si Butch kasi in both sides of his brain would function interestingly enough. At saka yung mga yung mga lines niya unforgettable sometimes, di ba? If this team looks at the reason why they lost this ball game, they only have to look 15 feet away from the hoop. Ganun lang si Butch. And he would nail it perfectly. And pareho sila ni Andy, Charlie, yung math umaandar during the game. May mga tao gano'n, imposible talaga. 6 out of 15 na-compute na. Ako, I'm hopeless there. I'm bananas there.
Piggyback ako sa question ni Sid. What did Willie Marshall do back then?
He was everything. Willie started sa stats sa PBA, di ba? With Joe Concepcion. And then we grabbed him for production. And he became the panel scorer na tinatawag. And he would provide the panelists with the running account of the game. And ang funny dyan is that all the mistakes of Joe Cantada, he would blame Willie Marshall. Halimbawa, sumenya si Willie ng ganito. Third foul daw. Kasi may senyasan yan, Charlie?
Yes.
Third foul. Yeah. Oh, that is the third foul on Tito Varela. Gaganon si Willie Marshall. Actually, it's the fourth. And Willie Marshall, your fingers need to be cut and under. I cannot understand your writing, Willie Marshall. They look like hieroglyphics. And Willie Marshall is the official shoe of the PBA. Laruan niya si Willie. And Willie was our all-around do-everything guy. He would be floor director. He would be production manager. That's why nowadays, if Willie understands the production, he does understand. He probably needs help in other areas, which people are graciously giving to him. But in terms of production, that's the thing that Willie knows.
Yeah, so pero at this point in time, siguro late 80s na ito, baka 90 na kaya to, hindi pa naman.
1990.
So you were already doing. When did you start? What was your first international coverage, sir? Not just basketball.
The greatest chamba of the world yun. 1988. I was already asked by Channel 4 to be the studio host. okay lang. Diyos ko, yung horrible naming pulang
I
jacket. And
was gonna say that.
Obviously, Butch Maniego lost the attachment. You look at him. Para siyang namatay yan eh. Mo, may kulay black siya doon eh.
Natanggal yung vintage sports
kasi shared yun. Hindi naman lahat meron eh. Okay. In the 88, I was ready to be studio host. Pingoy and I were going to be studio hosts. That's fine. Just as close as you can get to the Olympics. You know? Then suddenly, Joe's doctor said no. He cannot go travel. He has to undergo these treatments. And that was devastating to Joe. But at the same time also, Channel 4 suddenly said, we need somebody to do play-by-play in Korea. So I ended up doing the Olympics in 1988. Rookie talaga eh. Daming mistakes. The producers back then, our dear friends Bong Barameda and Edgar Reyes, counted the number of times I said undoubtedly during the opening. Undoubtedly. Probably said it about 25 times during the course of 3 hours. Sabi, siguro you might say, okay lang yan, pero hindi. Redundant na eh. Nowadays, I check myself when I say coverage, in the coverage, if I say a word too often, I will erase it right away. So that was the first, and been lucky, been blessed to do others down through the years.
Did you ever find out what are those words na normally ginagamit niyo lagi?
Undoubtedly nga.
Apart from undoubtedly, of course.
Nowadays, inaalis ko yung excited. Diba? Welcome to an exciting ball game. Tinatanggal ko yan. Welcome, yung mga predictable. Yung, alam ba, that shot should have been big. It could have changed the outcome of the game. Naalis ko yun. I tried to not be predictable, which I think you learn from Joe Cantada. Although he had some staples, you know. When you go into the last 2 minutes. Kasi he learned from that from Andy Howe. Sa atin kasi, yung 2 minutes sa basketball, mukhang konti na lang yun. Andy would teach him, hindi, mahaba pa yan, maraming mga... Doon ang galing ang eternity yung basketball eh.
Yes.
Because Andy Howe would tell him, no, there's a lot of time remaining. And Joe would suddenly pick up on it. And we have an eternity of basketball ahead of us, diba? That's where exactly. I would probably think those are the roots of where Joe coined that marvelous phrase, which is the title of your show.
Yeah. Which Noel Zarate is the one. He's the one who thought of that, huh?
Yeah.
Title ng show na.
May contribution naman pala. May contribution.
Minsan meron.
Sarap pag-usapan yung wala, no?
Oo nga eh.
Pero sir, so basketball was your main sport, and then but then in the Olympics, as we know, and all these other international competitions, you're doing all sorts of obscure sports that you knew nothing about. So yung preparation doon, sir, tapos yung lakas ng loob para gawin yung mga yun, how did you cope with that?
Pagka nasa Olympics ka, di ba, ito yung schedule, and you would do Asian Games, whatever is the assignment you'll do, you try to learn. Nung araw, walang internet, walang kodiko. I would bring tons of books to coverages, just as a guide to, bigla na lang gagawa ka equestrian. Wala namang computer nun. Babasahin mo yung, meron yung collection of rules of sport. Yan, babasahin mo yan. Babasahin mo yung baseball, softball, okay lang yan. Yung mga kilala. Pero yung mga difficult ones like gymnastics, even track and field is not easy, ha? May nuances yan, ha? Hindi ganun kadali yan. Yung mga karera, madali. Kung sino lang una dyan, tapos eh. Yung swimming, madali kasi kung sino lang. Ang mahirap lang sa swimming, pag wala yung kodiko na yung sino yung nasa lane 1.
Yung lane,
nowadays,
yes, yung lane.
Sophisticated na ngayon, no? Kita mo na yung lanes, kung sino yung Nung araw, wala, malay mo kung sino. Tapos mali ang eyesight mo. Halimbawa sa turn, sa 200, mali ang Freddie Abando for what it's worth, did a great 200. Ang alam ni Freddie, pagka yung kumurba, alam niya kung sino ang leading. Ako, I cannot detect kung sino. See, even the late Ronnie Natanias was brilliant. Bakit kasali itong Joey Guanyo rin? Hi, Joey. Bigla lang yung 200. Those two guys could do it very well. Ako, late ako humahabol sa ano. I have some events which I think I do better than others.
Yes, I'm pretty sure. Diba? It's looking at yung pinadala mo sa akin, sir. May cycling, may golf, and all of that. Golf, you kabisado mo rin because you do play, right?
I learned how to do it. When to be fair to Channel 4, ang Channel 4 kasi hindi natatakot to cover anything. Suddenly we covered the World Golf Championship. I just requested one thing: give me a caddy, give me a golfer who will feed me the words in Tagalog, tas akong bahala ng English. Sir, one club sa kanan. Bubulong niya sa akin. Of course, you can't say that on television. It's one club away from the hole. Diba? Ipabaguhin mo yun. So, a-adjust mo yun. So, may mga Tagalog terms na hindi mo pwedeng sabihin on the air sa English coverage. Jabong, halimbawa. Diba? Alam ng lahat ng golfer kung ano yung jabong. But you can't say that. Medyo may rules of conduct din naman ng golfer. Halimbawa, pag magpapat na, pag salita ka pa ng salita, kasalanan yun. Sa tennis, halimbawa, nagpagka-serve, shut up ka na.
Shut up ka na, yeah.
Sa gymnastics, pag umandar na yan, Carlos Yulo of the Philippines, it is floor exercise. Then you let go.
Quiet ka na.
Right.
Yeah. That's right.
What about those? What about those difficult surnames from Thailand, from mga ganyan pa? How do you prepare?
Dali, anong ginagawa natin? Kodigo, no? Walang kamatay ang kodigo yan. Ako, honestly, ito yung monitor. May kodigo ako left and right. Whether off-tube or live yan. Tapos, si Bill Velasco, who does a good job also with the foreign names, I shorten the Thai names. If you notice, sa Thailand players, hindi magkasya yung last name nila to sa likod ng uniform nila.
Correct.
The one thing I've learned in this game is that the Thais, they are never named the same. Each one of them, when they are born, is given a unique name by their parents. Diba? Halimbawa, yung si Anat Ratanapol, hindi ko makalimutan yun. At saka Charchay Chonoy, diba? You don't find another person named Charchay Chonoy, for instance. Yun ang tinalo yata ni Herbito Salabarria long time ago.
Yeah.
Ang hirap din yung ganun. Well, some people can do it better than others, no? Yung pronunciation of the name. Some palpak talaga, hindi nila kaya talaga sabihin yung. So the nicknames is important when you assign nicknames to these people to shorten those names, no?
To be fair, no? When in the Tokyo Olympics and in the Asian Games, the British announcers they would consult us on how to pronounce the Asian names, for instance. They knew that they could not deliver them quite clearly. Yung mga Reyes at Santos, walang problema yan. Pero pag complicated na, hirap.
Hindi, mas versatile talaga ang dila ng Pilipino, I think. Diba, commentating wise, we can get that kasi yung mga syllabication kasi natin iba talaga. So yung sa kasi you said the volleyball is maybe number 2 and we'll go to that later, but how about boxing? No? Boxing became a staple for you. You're known for boxing just as much as you're known for basketball. Paano? Mahilig ka ba talaga sa boxing nung bata ka? Were you Muhammad Ali, Joe Frazier kind of guy na naging fan ka and then you started commentating on it?
It all started again with Joe Cantada, watching Fisturama alongside my father. Diba? And my father would say, pakinggan mo yan. Hindi naman niya sinasabing maging announcer. Pakinggan mo, ang galing um-English niya. Kasi si Joe, yung simpleng 4-rounder, biglang larger. Siya yung Howard Cosell natin di ba? Yung simpleng 4-rounder, nagiging larger than life. Ay pugnacious attempt to. Yung mga ganun niya. Yung mga a deliberate attempt to be able to be great and famous. Di ba? Mga ganun niya. Mga hagod niyang ganun. But here's the great inside story nito. My first boxing was actually a world championship. Channel 4 said, go to Korea. Jerry Peñalosa was going to fight and defend his title. It was an education in boxing. I saw Jerry Peñalosa suffer trying to lose the weight. Hindi makakain 3 days yun. Kami kain sa Korean. Alam naman sa Korea, sarap kumain. And Jerry would suffer in his room. On the day of the weigh-in, we had Greca Trinidad had to bring him into the shower. Pinuksan namin yung shower. Bawal ang steam. And then I saw Jerry just devour the meal after he passed. And then later on, giniginaw si Jerry dun sa venue. At tapos binuksan namin yung TV lights para pawisan siya. It was an education. It was really I had done a bit of the boxing sa Olympics with Rondeles Reyes, but that was my first big one. And then later on, my education came in this corner, along with the old people, sila Moilanes, and the group that first handled Manny Pacquiao. That was an education, going to the provinces, learning. Alam mo naman, we call boxing sometimes the red light district of sports. At ito talagang masang-masa, kitang-kita mo, nagpupustahan sa tabi mo, nakita mong paano nagkakadayaan, paano ginigising si Emil Romano, sinasampal niya yung boxer niya kasi para magising. It was an education. So that when you got to go to Las Vegas for Manny Pacquiao, boy, you know a little more than probably when you started out.
Right. Yeah.
Sports
Titingnan
page?
natin to, no?
Hindi ko alam yata yung sports page.
Yung
Grabe
sports
ka
page
naman.
kami ni Charlie yan during the pandemic.
Sports pages.
Yun yung
Yeah.
pandemic.
Grabe ka naman.
Yan yung pandemic show.
Nag-guest din ako doon. Nag-guest din ako doon a couple of
Oh,
times.
Yes. Ikaw yung nagtatanong ng press question,
Yes.
di ba, Sid?
Yeah.
May segment doon. Ikaw yung nagtatanong. So, we did about what? Maybe 70 episodes, no, sir? 70, 75 episodes. Umabot tayo for sports page. How about that? What's the difference with that? And did you enjoy hosting shows rather than anchoring sporting events?
I'll admit this. I'm not a very good interviewer. I would have battles with the producers because I tend to throw softballs. Wala ako nung hat siguro ni Sid at ni Jay to ask those difficult questions. Not because I'm protecting the interview, but hindi ko alam i-phrase or i-frame properly. Hindi ko rin alam paano tempo. I'm not a very good interviewer. I'm just siguro at heart a play-by-play guy talaga. No? There are others who do a better job interviewing. Kasi ako, basic format ko kasi natutunan ko, again, from Channel 4. Pag nag-i-interview, 3 lang yun past, present, and future. Past, ano nangyari, sir? Present, anong gagawin nyo ngayon? Anong balak nyo in the next few days? Sa akin kasi, short and sweet. So, I was glad that I had Dominic Uy, Charlie, and Chicky Roa to help along dun sa show na yan. And boy, that was something that was a blessing during the pandemic. Wala kaming trabaho lahat nun. It was a blessing. We got to talk about sports, and there were some controversies like Blackwater got into some hot water because they supposedly had a practice. I don't know if it was
we broke that story actually. Yes,
bigla nilang
Philippines.
Di ba, nagulat. I think Joseldo was caught off guard a little that he
Kasi he was interviewed and then he admitted inadvertently admitted na nag-practice nga kami ng isang araw. No time na yun, I think mga 4 lang ang pwede.
Siguro Sid
small group lang.
Di ba? Kasi Facebook, baka hindi lalaki yan, di ba? At that time, we didn't know how to deal with it. Then
what happened there was my senior PBA writer, si Richard D, messaged me, hey, Joseldo C kind of admitted na nag-full-blown practice sila. What do we do? Sabi ko, well, let's write about it. Diba? Kasi he was on the record when he said it.
Oo tama. Ikaw nga pala yung grupo mo.
Yeah, so he on the record yun he cannot deny it. So we wrote it, so yun, na-sanction sila ng PBA. No? Pero Richard was just doing his job. He was actually very close to Joseldo. Pero he was just doing his job, and I'm glad we reported on that.
That's right. Anyway.
What about events hosting?
Discussion.
Sige, ano lang. What about events hosting? Weddings, functions, and everything. Do you do that?
I did the wedding of Rhea Tanwatco and Coach Luigi a long time ago. The food was not being served. Ang tagal. Wala na akong masabi. So I go, okay, we'll take a break. Talk to your relatives, talk to your friends. We'll wait for the food. Diba? Hindi ako mahabang... I did my share of corporate stuff, of course. But weddings, debuts, I don't like debuts so much. It's such a mother production. You have to deal with with a mother, really. But I did more weddings. The most memorable was Coach Luigi and Rhea Tanwatco's wedding. And I'm Ninong very often nowadays.
Yeah, syempre. Nandun na sa stage na yan. No? Anyway, so let's remind everyone, Carly, let's just take a short break. Remind everybody we're part of the Globally Ballin Network. And check out Who the Heck Are We, one of the shows on the network. Join Claro, Diego, and Juancho as they journey through the UAAP Season 87 Men's Basketball Tournament. Watch exclusive interviews, snippets of the game by following their social media pages on FB, IG, and TikTok. Check them out. Who the Heck Are We? And watch and listen to us on Spotify. Give us a 5-star rating, please. Tapos, you can also be our monthly supporter. Yeah, no? For 250 pesos a month or $4.99, we'd recognize you in our future episodes and love you forever. And then our top 8 episodes so far, Benji Paras at number 1 still. But nandyan yung iba, no? Those great episodes. And Sev, Sir Sev was part of the Smoke and Joe episode back in episode 73. He's been on the show before. So keep watching and like and follow Globally Ballin Southeast Asia on Facebook para naman makita niyo yung mga tidbits ng mga shows sa Globally Ballin Network. And we step right back into the second half of Time Capsule, although Sir Sev is on a break as well. Great discussion we're having so far. Ang haba, no? Ang dami kasi pwede pag-usapan, guys. And so we've talked about some international competition, some other sports as well, but there's so much more, no? Sir Sev was a sports writer as well, so he joins us in that regard also.
Yeah.
We're all just trying to be like Sir Sev, di ba? Trying to do everything as far as sports is concerned. Sir, so yung sports writing naman, pag-usapan naman natin. You've written some columns, balita ngayon. Sev Sarmenta po, Savvy Sev, one game at a time. Tell us about that. Is that something you enjoy or hindi masyado kaya hindi mo na tinuloy?
Yung sa Inquirer, nagkaroon ng change of direction and there was no guarantee that the columns would come out. That affected me, Percy Delia, and even the esteemed Recca Trinidad. No? The change of direction in Inquirer. And I told Francis, who was the editor, I'm letting go para hindi ka na mahirapan whether deciding to publish it or not. I'm letting go. Then, it was fun. It was a challenge. I made many mistakes. Wrong names, sometimes wrong facts. Di ba? Ang nakakatakot sa print, andun, committed na siya. Etched in stone na siya. Even if you apologize thereafter, it's already a mistake. Which is similar to broadcast mistakes. Ang maganda kasi sa sports column writing, it teaches you to be humble. Di ba? But I also learned from Andy Howe, don't get the facts wrong. As long as you have the facts right, you'll be in a good place. Yung opinion, 5-5 yan eh. Di ba? Yung opinion, is this player better than the other? Is he the GOAT? Kaya minsan tinanong ako ni Sid kung sino yung GOAT. Hindi ko masagot eh. May pinagawa ka sa akin, hindi ko talaga masagot. Minsan talaga,
you respectfully declined to give you a definitive answer.
If we are still together in the next 10 years, somewhere in a coffee shop out there, I'll tell you who the real GOAT is. Actually. But di ba, sabi ko nga sa'yo, I'm tied with so many layers of obligations, so hindi ko magbigay. No, but I think there are many. It's not easy. Yung column, it's scary pag wala kang maisulat. You have nothing. You have absolutely nothing. There was a point, the late Teddy Vic Melendres would tell me, Huy, I'm interested in your opinion. I don't want a travel piece. Kung minsan, pag nagka-travel ako, gagawa akong travel. I'm not Kinito Henson eh. Di ba? Kinito gets away with it because he's on that level. And I was not competing against him. I was competing against myself actually. Hindi madali ang sumulat ng column. Those who do it well, like Kinito, Bill, and the others, they do a marvelous job. Actually, kulang na nga ng columnist ngayon eh. I think, di ba, yung araw, kulang yung mga opinion na lumalabas eh. So,
I think the media landscape is moving away from mga blogs and columns and sir. Wala na rin yung mga kahit sa states eh. Wala na masyado yung mga ganong personal columns. More on reporting na talaga. And long form stuff. Lumipat na sa podcast yung ganong
iba rin ng podcast. Mahirap din gawin ng podcast. You need a production staff, you need a team to be able to do. I think Chot Reyes has one nowadays.
Yes, he was the only one who was able to get Dwight Ramos. Inis nga ako. Sa kanya lang pumayag si Dwight magpa-interview eh.
Would you recall the most...
That's the perks, diba?
Sige, would you recall the most controversial column that you, or article that you came out sa column na yan?
One, I said that football is probably not working in the Philippines because maybe the football field is too big for the Filipino. Siyempre, the people who love
Galit sila.
football, galit sila. Okay. Then second, I made a mistake of a Phil-American player calling him an import. Raised and my mistake. Those are my mistakes talaga. Yung football, hindi. Ano yun? I will stick by it kasi feeling ko nalalakihan ng Pilipino sa football at saka natatagalan ng Pilipino sa scoring ng football. But there's no question about it. It's a beautiful game. I love watching it sa ground. Ayoko sa taas kasi kitang-kita mo yung skill sa babae. I played that in my younger years, but those who play it, they do it very well.
I know. It's hard to appreciate lang talaga. It hasn't caught on the way it should have. There was a time the Ascals were bringing people in, but then nawala na yon. They don't even call them the Ascals anymore now.
I think when they started losing, nawala ang interest. I mean, the women have done a marvelous job because they kept on winning and they qualified for the World Cup. I hope they can keep on winning. I think that's what we needed. If there's a sport that needs the national team winning, it's probably football. It's probably parang we have come to terms with the basketball. May basketball realities that there are some teams that we will not be able to beat ever in our lifetime. But don't tell that to Team Cone, who's beaten Latvia already.
Right. Oh,
yeah. Carly, let's enter the second part of the time capsule. Pasok natin first photo natin.
Diyos ko, ano naman to?
Sayang naman. Ayan.
Yeah. Evidence that you once
basketball
played.
Team ng
Or
vintage.
coach ka ba dito, sir?
Actually, I coached vintage to 2 second place finishes. In 93, I still played. We won the championship against Chot Reyes and Yang Giao. That was unforgettable because I faked a play. I was point guard then for Norman Black. Then I said, Tres tayo! Matras niya si Yang Giao at saka si Chot Reyes. Tinira ko sa top of the key, pumasok. Wala ka naman talagang play na tres eh. Ikaw lang yun eh. Tinira mo lang eh. Niloloko mo kami. Di ba? Chot will talk to you like that. The PBA had a delightful league among the different groups that play. We even beat, here's the outrageous story. Kinito Henson played for the Sports Writers. And then in the end, he was called for a foul and wala nang time. They were ahead by 1 point. And then si Rami Romano, who's our slow-mo operator, hit 2 free throws. Panalo kami. And then, siyempre, yung mga press, galit na galit, pinapak yung referee doon sa press, sa columns the next day. Do not choose your battles, gusto kong sabihin sa mga referee. And this is an interesting picture. Direct Abit Ramos is to my
left.
Yes,
I was about to ask. And that's Direct Al ba yun? Number 5? Direct Al Neri?
Direct Al number 5, no?
If I'm not mistaken,
Al Neri. Then
Al Neri.
Anthony said, then the aforesaid si Rami Romano is the one sa baba, sa left side.
Noli Yala is there.
Rado
Di Malibot is also there.
Si Radon tumitira niyan palagi, sir.
Si Rado may tira sa tres. In fact, we won in 93 because of Rado's outside shooting in the end game. Tinalo namin sila Chot Reyes in the championship game.
Yeah nga, sir. Can you rewind lang? You mentioned Chot Reyes and Yang Giao were on the same basketball team.
Because they played for the commissioner's office, which was made up of the coaches, tapos ang mga players nila noon. Ang mahirap kalaban noon si Jong Chico. Ang galing talaga tumira ni Jong Chico. Jong never made it to the PBA, pero ang galing talaga tumira.
I'm just wondering what that backcourt would look like kasi di ba I know both of them played in college level pero pareho silang feisty point guards from my recollection.
I would put Shot in as the point guard and Yang as 2. Si Yang masakit pumaw si Yang.
I can imagine.
Diba?
That's not surprising at all, ha? That's not surprising at all.
Kung nagko-coach siya ngayon, ano ba yan? Diba? He would use words we cannot say because they're politically incorrect, but he's said out loud. But he's loved by his players because bawal lang hindi matapang kay Yang. Pero Yang is a fun person. When we do the games with him, Charlie, diba? Ang ganda ng mga inputs Yan, si Ronald Lopez na nag-good morning dyan. Player din namin. Magaling maglaro yan. Wala lang siya sa I think he was in Hawaii at that time. But the guy in the middle, si Angie Pasco, he passed away. He played for San Sebastian. Si Willie Marcial, isang practice na. Norman Black was running our practice when he was still coaching us in 93. We would do full court drills ala San Miguel. Then he passed the ball to Willie Marcial. Malakas talaga. Bang! Boom! Lipat si Willie. Oh, I'm sorry. I thought you were Alvin Teng. Diba? So Norman, but Norman, I learned so much when he was coaching us. I learned so many lessons. One, trust your teammates. Trust your teammates. Two, share the ball. At tapos, give the big man the ball again when he goes down. Mga little things that also help the coverage later on. You have to be under probably a Grand Slam coach to be able to learn these things by playing. Ang practices namin hindi biro, ha? Ano talaga, mala San Miguel ang practice namin dati.
Who's the best player in this lineup?
This group probably, if Anthony Sontay is there, yes, it would be Anthony and Noli Yala, of course. Mahirap bantayan si Noli. Rado was also a very good player, and some other guys as well that I probably don't recognize anymore. Jerry Ramos, who is to my right here, his son eventually played for Adamson University, and Jerry continues to work with us as the stats guy, the graphics guy.
Kasama pa rin namin yan until now. So all these guys, they've been around. Live first talaga sila dito sa PBA coverage.
I guess so.
Diba? Dami talaga niyan. So through the years, no, how have things changed from your first stints in sportscasting? Obviously, social media have changed everything. But aside from that, what else have you observed na nag-iba talaga for you?
Of course, production has changed immensely. When we introduced the Amiga graphics computer back then, it was such a big thing. We suddenly had the graphics in color, and all the graphics, even the sponsors loved it because the logos came out in color. And everything is, and the slow-mos from different angles, it really helps the game. The first time we found out how we could do it, referee Rudy Hines got pinned by the PBA because he missed the call completely. Dati kasi nag-i-slow mo lang yung main camera eh. Then suddenly, Direct Abit Ramos was able to find a way that we could slow-mo all the cameras. Nowadays, it's second nature. The production, and it's instantaneous, and it's also digital. No? The amount of data that can be preserved. A lot of people are saying, why don't you show the old games of the PBA? There are some digital copies. However, there was a fire that hit the PBA. Jay, you know this. That hit, and many of the Crispa Toyota games got burned in that process. At saka crudo pa, no? They were on analog VHS tapes probably that are now crumbling probably. The nice thing about this era is that everything is digital. All these games that we're doing nowadays are preserved. And there are so many platforms nowadays. May One Sports Plus, Filipinas Live, and all this is because of the digital era as well. I think that's the one thing that probably has to return is PBA radio. No? I don't think we have a radio coverage nowadays because they're still fixing it. I hope we can bring that back kasi meron talagang audience yun.
Right. Ito, sir, this is the vintage crew of the mid-90s to, no? Or late 90s?
Late 90s ito. Wala na si Joe, wala na si Pingoy Quinito, Andy, Ed, and I are the old guys, and Butch as well, if you count that. And here comes Randy Sakdalan, Rado de Malibot, Noli, and Chino were coming along. And then later on, we added a ton of courtside reporters, actually, including Ana Amigo, Ronit Ang later on, Mylene Quinto. I don't know if we have a picture of them together ever taken. But this was probably 96-97 patapos na or 95-96 siguro paalis na ako by that time.
Kasi 98 I think, which is our next photo yata. You joined this new league called the NBA.
Yeah.
Ito yun.
Ito naman yun, NBA.
How did that happen, sir? I mean, time to move on or ano?
I was with Silver Star and I was pleased with what my life was going with work in Channel 4. I was going abroad. I was doing the cycling tour. ABS-CBN called. A number of people bolted out of Vintage and were hired by ABS-CBN to run this new league. The whole story, and I don't think there's any doubt about this, ABS-CBN made a bid for the PBA, which was one of the largest ever bids. And Vintage, because of their right of first refusal, was able to counter it. And then ABS said, well, there's this new league being cooked up by a group of people. Tuasons yata ang nag-create, and let's team up with them. It was a joyful concept. It worked for, excuse me, the first 2 or 3 years. Then it simply ran out of money. I think the PBA was good in closing in on its ranks, and they said, we will not support this league. It lacked sponsors. The venues in the provinces were not big enough to be able to support the teams. It was still joyful because you learn again to be humble. I guess what you learn in this job, excuse me, is to be humble. You can't choose the hotels that you stay in. You can't choose the transportation, the flight times. Sa akin, nowadays, now that I've returned to the PBA, walang problema sa akin kahit saan tayo matulog, sino roommate mo. All of these guys, except the women, of course, became my roommates. It was always a problem to find a room that would fit Danny Francisco, all 6'6" of him.
Yes.
Kasi ang liliit ng mga beds. Tapos yung mga shower, galit na galit si Danny kasi ang linis ng dibdib niya.
Has it ever happened to you, sir? Because I know it's happened to guys like si Noel, even Bob Guerrero was telling me na ang room, syempre may roommate kayo, then when you check into your hotel, isang malaking queen size bed lang yung
aangal ka na nun. Medyo, I don't think this is going to work. Pwede ka na umanan.
Sharing a room is one thing. Sharing a bed is different. Different matter.
All these guys,
it happens. It happens.
If I run through it, each one has been, except siguro si Bobby, each one has Ira Panganiban, who's to the left, is a joyful roommate because gumigising yan. Ano meron? Sunog ba? Late na tayo sa aeroplano, mag-peace ka na. Diba? Miko Halili was neat and proper, just like Eric Reyes nowadays. Butch Maniego was always my roommate. Bob Novales, I loved having as roommate because, boy, that guy can eat. We have to, ang kanyang motto niya, we have to enjoy the local delights. Yun lang.
Yan, okay yan.
Who was asking?
I can't remember some of the names of these people. Si Alex, what is Alex's last name?
Alex Santos, who's a newscaster.
Alex Santos,
yeah.
and then
I
Bob Novales.
forget some of the girls. Pia Gonzalez is there.
Yun na nga eh. Pia Gonzalez, Jenny.
Yeah.
Who's Jenny?
And then Lexi Schultz is over there.
Yeah, Lexi Schultz, yeah.
Anong last name? Yeah. Of course, Lexi, yeah. Kumare ko yan. Oo.
Okay.
Best man ko yung husband niya.
I love her husband who worked at the Mandarin for the longest time.
Correct. Yeah. But they're now based in Spain.
Big problem when all the aunties of Lexi came for one event. We were there.
Ay, mga Rebilla eh.
Yeah.
The Rebilla sisters yan eh, di ba?
Only one ugly person there, Johnny. Okay, anyway.
Yeah, that's right. So NBA, well, kakaibang experience din yon, and then obviously the league nga didn't last so long. But it goes on for you, no? So the leagues have come and gone. You've transferred. You've done NCAA, UAAP, PBA, PBL. Name it. Nagawa ni Sir Sev lahat yan. Na-commentate mo lahat yan. All those different sports. And then here you are today, no? Where is Sev Sarmenta in the sportscasting landscape right now, sir?
I just consider myself a substitute for Joe Cantada and Pingoy Pension. I'm just a sub. I came off the bench. A lot of people use the term mentor, legend, icon. That gives you a little cringe, diba? I'm not even there. Do it when I'm gone if you want to. But nowadays, I'm just I like to help out the young ones just in the same way Joe, Pingoy, Andy, Kinito, Waki, and Romy did it for me when I was starting out. When some of our courtside reporters have problems with their delivery, the way they do things, even our young announcers, I try. I don't want to put a person under my wing, which is I don't think I'm entitled to do that. But I'm just sobbing for Pingoy and Jho. And I hope that I can do. I'm not even close to Jho Candada in terms of skill and ability. That's yung league of his own yun. But I would like to think that Pingoy Pension is also in a league of his own in terms not only of his sportscasting skills, but in terms of his people skills as well. Kasi yung mentoring niya was very easy and I will never forget, and I kept it, his love letter to me when I left for the Seoul Olympics. I kept it, and he said, "Never forget that the core of your coverage is always your audience. Always find out your gasoline boy, your wife, what are they looking for in your coverage? What are the things that they want to hear?" Parang guiding principle ko lagi yan, and I try to pass it on to the next generation, intentionally or not. I've also mellowed. I used to get so irritated, mga little mistakes sa production, and I'm famous. People who have worked with me know me. I'm some kind of famous because I do understand the production process, and when it slips, I've mellowed and I've learned to let go. It comes with age, I guess, and I know in this digital era, I'm not as good as the people who are working there right now.
This is a picture with the Sports 5 crew. Ito yung mga tao natin. And then this one, of course, this is a classic one, just recently taken. The three from the 80s, no, who are still with the coverage right now. Si Dean, si Doc.
Charlie, they had a hard time computing how many years of broadcasting were added up here.
Let me guess, around 120.
Yeah, mga ganon. Siguro mga ganon.
Well, Andy's been there the longest, ano? And we all learn from these two guys. Yung preparation ni Kinito is beyond, through the roof, di ba? Too much. At times I kid him a lot, di ba? But you know, when it's a blown out game, you love it when you have Kinito. And so he never runs out of anything to give the audience. On Andy's part naman, how he makes the game very simple. Yung team standings to visit, yung pag yung format yung, okay, so-and-so must not win, and then has to win over 35 by 15 points, and if they win by... Andy taught me a very simple lesson. You know, it's very, very simple. You must not lose. You must not lose today. If you lose today, you're done. Diba? If you lose, you're out.
Isa pang one of a kind yan.
Diba?
Isa pang one of a kind yan. Si
diba, Charlie, I will not forget yung coverage yung dalawa sa China and how you made the game so exciting and so simple. You know, it was just two partners working absolutely well in that coverage. Sometimes, you know, it works. No? It just clicks. It just kicks in and you know you're doing a heck of a job actually.
Kinakabahan ako noon. Kasi first time namin talaga to work extensively with each other, no? With Dr. J. Pero
roommates pa kayo, di ba?
Worked out naman.
Roommates pa kayo?
No. Solo room lagi si Doc. Solo room yan.
Ako naman, naging roommate
si
roommate ko si Kinito, isang Pacquiao fight, hindi natutulog yung taong yan.
Gumagawa the notes pa rin. Ganon.
Endlessly writing and everything. But that's
actually, you know, you mentioned kanina about column writing. That's one thing I have to admire about Kinito, Sir Sev. He has to write a column 5 days a week.
Oh, no?
Exactly.
Diba? He's been doing that ever since sa Philippine Star, no? Hindi siya naubusan ng sinusulat eh. Diba?
Kasi alam mo, ang root niyan, kasi he's a financial person at heart. Bankero yan eh. I work for Union Bank and other companies as well. So the first thing that attracts him to the game really is the numbers, because the numbers don't lie. Then there's a childlike love for the game and for other sports that are passionate to him, boxing, squash. So palagi ko hindi talaga maubusan. Naubusan lang yan pag nagsulat ng about British music. Ibig sabihin.
Exactly.
Medyo slow news day ngayon.
Isa pang passion na yan eh. Sounds din. Music.
Let me deviate for a moment here. Di ba?
Yeah. Slow news day. No, wait, but let's deviate also now. You've done all of that. You've done that. One thing you have not done, sir, in all these leagues is become a league commissioner. Was that ever something that you considered? Were you offered it?
I'll turn the question back to you. Ikaw ang dapat maging commissioner.
Sandali, Sev Sarmenta episode ito
in the future, Charlie, Yeah, I consider that. But me, no, walang patience. Walang ano. I'm too happy, too buoyant, and I don't wanna deal with the referees and deal with the teams. And I'm just a play-by-play guy. Um I wanted to be a manager of a team. I think I won't mention the team. I was approached by a PBA team to be an assistant manager. I would have jumped at it just to understand the league a little more, just to understand how salaries get paid, how bonuses work. Look at that question on the screen. Many things I would have learned if, in fact, kahit sa volleyball, Signal was almost early days of Signal, the volleyball team. I was invited to be a manager. Hindi lang nagkatuluyan. I would have said yes. I wanted that part. Rather than a commissioner, I would love to be a team manager because I did that in high school. It makes you understand the game on a different level also.
I'm sorry, were you able to do courtside reporting din ba?
No, not really.
Okay. All right.
Ano na anchor talaga. Although, there were games, pag si Bill at si Butch, I would be courtside, hindi available hindi available. I think the most that we did, we introduced the reporting in the game with Cathy De Leon, Chino, and sometimes me. Dati kasi halftime interview lang. But we wanted a reporter who would talk about the player injuries, the coaches, which I thought Chino did very well to the point that he's immortalized in Bullen Beach forever, di ba?
Bullen Beach, yes.
That was classic. But I thought the courtside reporting prepared Chino very well for his future role. I would not be a good interviewer in the long run if I were to be a courtside reporter. Boy, this is the classic picture, Charlie.
Yes. Carlos Yulo.
We're in who won gold medals.
Yes, sir. So this is the latest, kaya in-include din namin kasi this was great because all eyes, all ears were on you during this coverage. You knew that the whole Philippines and even others were watching, with these two ladies about the gymnastics of Kaloy. And I was even messaging you when this was happening.
Yeah. Thank you so much. Alam mo, you know what prepared us for this? Actually, sitting beside Carlo Pamintuan during the Heidelin Diaz thing. I was telling Carlo, let go at certain points because nanalo na ng gold medal. Alam mo, the tricky thing always is when you cover the Philippines. I learned this from Ronnie Nataniel. So, all people, you might say it's unusual. But when you cover your country, you're already biased. Diba? You're biased right away. Wala na yung fair. You want to be fair. You will not be objective, but you will be fair. At the same time, so yung pagdadala sa dalawang magiting na at magaling na binibining ito during the coverage was the same token. Ano ba ang gustong malaman ng viewer? And the nice thing here is that Joy Valenton, who's in the middle of the picture, knew the moves. I cannot memorize all the moves in gymnastics. The nice thing about Litzico on the extreme left of the picture or extreme right, she did the computation of the match. So she knew right away kung ilang points lamang si Kaloy, ilan ang kulang. And that's why Charlie, at a certain point, the two of them knew na ang mananalo ng gold. So that's why Joy was audacious enough to say, I think we're going to get a second goal. Because they saw the numbers. Unless the last competitor nung vault was going to do something extra special, Kaloy would not lose that day because Kaloy was the only one who offered a degree of difficulty that he achieved. The others did not. Tinaas ni Kaloy ng konti degree of difficulty. I really felt he would win the floor exercise. I think a silver in the vault would have been just fine, but no, he gave us such a great gift.
Floor talaga yung pet event niya, di ba?
Oh, yeah.
And mga tinalo niya, you guys, you're in sports, mga top level yung tinalo niya.
Yes. Best of the best talaga sila.
Diba? Yeah. At saka, pero kita mo doon sa video, no? He was so well respected and quote-unquote feared by the others. Kasi world champion din naman si Kaloy.
Correct.
Diba? Right. I think we saw, the Kaloy we saw in Tokyo 2021 was not the Kaloy of 2024. And a lot of people have been criticizing the girlfriend and everything. I think he's at peace when the girl is around. That's the most I will say. he's probably, I idolize his comment. Girl, pag in-interview naman yung boyfriend mo, tumabi-tabi ka naman dyan. But I think, to be fair to Kaloy, he's at peace when this love of his life is beside him.
May magandang question dito as we're trying to wrap up, no? So we can go into the regular segments. You covered so many noteworthy sports events. Is there any one or two that stand out as the most memorable? Parang estudyante mo ito, sir.
Si Miguel Cortez, he's a former student of mine. Most noteworthy, I would consider the 1991 Shell Rudy Distrito shot.
Okay.
The best because yumanig talaga yung court, yumanig yung camera, yumanig yung stadium. But Andy Howe being so Andy Howe, and I'm effusive. I'm not even using let's listen to the crowd roar at that time. Andy Howe reminds me so clearly if you look at the tape. There's 1 second left. There's 1 second left.
Yeah.
And I check myself. And that's why you work in pairs. Oh nga, no? May timeout pa ang Shell. Andy is very good in reminding you the time, the shot clock, the penalty situation, the base. Alam mo yan, assistant coach at manager Di ba? Alata mo, Charlie, during the game, he'll say, that's the 4th team foul. They have one more foul to give. They decide to use it. Di ba? Andy gives you such simple nuggets of information. Oh nga, no? Oh, why not, Coconut? You said it. Say, memorable, I would go to the opening of the 1988 Olympics as one of my favorites, despite my redundant use of undoubtedly. Because in terms of preparation kasi, I really prepared. Hindi digital yun, basa yun. Tons of Sports Illustrated, tons of and that's where the Jho Cantada influence was clear. Yung opening lang, we try to avoid welcome, good evening, it's a momentous occasion. Sa akin, opening pa lang yung this is why the world comes together in a time to become peaceful, to share these moments, which I saw in a quotation from Sports Illustrated in an ad for some strange reason, and I saw it was appropriate. I thought that's unforgettable. I've come to terms with the fact that I will never do the NBA. It's a different ball game nowadays, and I probably haven't watched enough of late. But I still love watching Steph Curry fire those bombs away, 3-pointers. I'm sad that Klay Thompson has to go out to another team, but he's playing well with Luka.
Yeah. Had 6 3-point shots in his first game.
Sid and I share. Charlie's our Laker fan here, no? But at the same time, I love both. Both the Lakers and the Celtics actually great.
How do you do that? How do you do that, sir?
Ang ganda kasi ng rivalry. I know. Like, is that for another show, Charlie? That's
magulo yan. Happy to mga Celtic fans ngayon.
No, but it's a joyful rivalry, and my dream. I've been to the Forum. Not the Forum. The Staples Center. I wanted to see Boston Garden, the old one, but it's gone.
Yeah, wala na. It's rubble now.
I've been to TD Garden.
Kaya point out lang natin na kabaro rin naman natin si Sir Sev. Alam natin, Atenista, Blue Bubble, pero nag-UP naman din.
Of course!
Fellow Mascom alumnus. I'm Mascom alumnus.
I had some of the most joyful teaching years actually sa UP CMC. I was moderator of the, I'll say it out loud, sorry. The Broadass or the Broadcast
Association. That's their name.
They invited me to attend their opening party. Little did I know it was going to be an initiation. And the women were some of the most ruthless I have ever seen in my life. I stepped back and I had to go home and say, I miss my students from that era. Si Twink Macaraig, who passed away. Pilar Estrella, who worked with us in Vintage. The wife of Abet Ramos, for instance. It was fun. I had some. I keep telling the dean, say Hernan Paragas, I hope one day I can return to UP to teach again. I enjoyed my classes, also studying my MA and PhD. Mario de los Reyes was a teacher of mine. Tessa Osmenes was a teacher of mine also. Tessa had ang galing ni Tessa magturo, chill na chill, no? Chill na chill.
Talagang lahat nakikinig. Ma'am Tessa is in the classroom.
Captivating ba?
PR ang subject ko.
At saka, Tessa also taught a sports writing. I think of late she's
still up to now she's still
journalism thing. And I am sure that students are so blessed to have her as their mentor.
So sir, a lot of doctor ang sa'yo, no?
Doctor pala.
May PhD ka na eh.
Yeah. Well, somebody advised me a long time ago, if you want to stay in the academy, you have to have the 3 letters at the end of your name. It affects salary, it affects where you are, and I don't usually flaunt it. I don't ask people to put it in the public domain, di ba? I'm at most a teacher. I'm not a very good researcher. Most PhDs are very good researchers. I'm more a teacher than but I have a few that are out there somewhere. I've interviewed some of you, Sid, and I think Jay, for some of the papers I've written, of course. But some of the best years learning also was coming out of the faculty center of UP at late at night and wondering if you'll get home safe.
Yeah, that's true. Even to this day, yung anak ko nandyan. Naku, nakakatakot.
Nga pala, tumuloy na.
Yeah. Well, guys, pahabol si Sir Sid. Sige, Jay, go.
You mentioned kasi you praised Charlie and Andy Howe for a fantastic combination ng 2015 Changsha Games. So, kayo sir, when it comes to meshing with your partner, who did you mesh well the most?
Of course, I probably say Andy Howe, but everybody seems to say that I know how to handle and mesh well with Quinito Henson because I know the tempo na with Quinito. I know when to interrupt him. I know how to step in, and I know when to give him space. I think, but I also love working with. I love working with Dominic Cui because he adds a nice young flavor to it.
And the game goes into overtime all the time.
Yeah. In volleyball, I love working, of course, with Noringo and all those who have played the game before. The trick naman kasi sa analysts is open doors for them. Let them shine. Let them do their thing. Kasi ang trabaho mo is to share and to find out what is the listener viewer interested. Kamukha ko sa team standings. I hate it when it's still with me, and I tell the producer, "Pag team standings, analyst na yan. People are not interested in what I think. They're interested in what the analyst thinking." And di ba? Each one is different. Quinito will go, for example, if he never loses today, then si Andy will simply say, "You must not lose." Di ba? Kanya-kanyang style, di ba? So you anticipate and you try to find out what works for both of you. Pero there's always an empty feeling at the end of the coverage. Boy, did we nail that? Did we send it out to the park? Diba? Did we miss anything? And usually we do. When you read the newspapers and the online sites, you probably missed a point or two. Like for instance, the other day in Game 6, I missed out on the fact that Thompson had 14 rebounds. I didn't mention it. I forgot it completely. Because
hindi mo na mahabol yun, di ba? Hindi mo nasabi.
Yeah. Wala na naiwanan mo na naiinis ka. And you like the guys. Maganda kasi sa guys sa digital at saka sa print, they can ask each other at the end. Ilang rebounds nga si di ba? They shout at each other, they share ideas. And I learned that from Francis Ochoa, to be chill about it. If you miss it, you miss it.
Yeah. Can't be too hard on yourself, The nice thing about Sir Sev, he still does the workshops, with Noel and everything. So he shares his knowledge with the next generation, hopefully, of guys coming up to become sportscasters and broadcasters as well, So guys, pasok na tayo sa segments, I guess, Okay, let's go into the Twilight Zone. Carly, let's pasok tayo sa Twilight Zone, and the first segment of the Twilight Zone is called the XSROs. Have you always wanted to do a farm stay just over an hour's drive from Cagayan de Oro in Barangay Calugmanan, Bukidnon? It's Tuminugan Farm. It offers a taste of country life. Accommodation situated in a charming farmhouse and cozy cottage. You can take a cool dip in a mountain water reservoir, have a picnic at dawn with a canyon as a backdrop, or have a bonfire under the enchanting starlit Bukidnon sky. And you can start your adventure in Mindanao there today. Book on Tuminugan Farm. Sir, sa XSROs, you know how this goes. Well, I'm just going to give you a list of choices. Just let me know your choice. I don't have to explain why. And we're not again, I'm gonna say it. We're not trying to cause friction or create enemies here. So, sir, game tayo. Let's go. Number 1, Jaworski or Fernandez?
Walang explanation, ha?
Wala.
Wala explanation, Jaworski.
Jaworski. Okay. Crispa or Toyota?
Yan ang mahirap. Toyota.
Toyota. Okay. Cantada or Pengson?
Yan ang mahirap. I'll go with Pengson.
Okay. Pengson. Broadcasting or teaching?
Again.
Broadcasting or teaching?
Teaching.
Teaching. Yan. Okay. Vintage, Silver Star, or ABS-CBN production?
Vintage.
Vintage. Billy Ray Bates or Bobby Parks?
Billy Ray Bates.
Billy Ray Bates. Sean Chambers or Norman Black?
Norman Black.
Norman Black. Tommy Manotok or Ed Ocampo?
Edo Campo.
Hosting or writing?
Writing.
Writing. Elmer Yanga or Danny Floro?
Elmer Yanga.
Rudy Salud or June Bernardino?
Yan ang mahirap. As commissioner siguro, Rudy Salud.
Okay. Ito. 1975 Ateneo team or 1988 Ateneo team?
75 at na.
75.
Watson.
Watson. 1986 UP championship team or 2022 UP championship team?
86.
86, syempre. Ayan. Willie Hernandez or Frank Sanchez?
Willie Hernandez.
Dick Ildefonso or Rafi Mejia?
Dick Ildefonso.
Dick Ildefonso. Emmy Arcilla or Caloy Prieto?
Emmy Arcilla.
Emmy Arcilla. Danny Florencio or Samboy Lim?
Danny Florencio.
Danny Florencio. Bogs Adornado or Alan Kaidik?
Alan Kaidik.
Alan Kaidik. June Papa or Estoy Estrada?
June Papa.
June Papa. Johnny Abarientos or Hector Calma?
Johnny Abarientos.
Johnny Abarientos. The Dean or the Doc?
Mamamatay ako dito.
Pwede naman tabla. Pwede tabla.
Sige, tabla.
Tabla.
Mahirap na eh. Ang daya nyo, katrabaho ko pa yung dalawang yan.
Tawanan yung dalawa. TV or radio?
Radio.
Radio. Yes, soft spot. Rainbow Territory or Cardiac Game?
Cardiac game.
Cardiac Game. Okay. Jacobs or Cone?
Cone na.
Cone na ngayon. Okay. San Juan Knights or Pasig Pirates?
San Juan Knights.
San Juan Knights. PBA or MBA?
Patas.
Patas. Oh, wow. Okay. Considering 4 years lang yung MBA, must have been a really great experience. Okay, let's show the picture. This is the hardest one siguro. Show the picture. Yan. Si Ruby Ana, si Vivian Velez, o si Chanda Romero?
Chanda Romero.
Oh, bilis.
Bilis. Bilis. Chanda wins this one. Okay. For that's the XSROs for episode 234 of the AEOB. Guys, kayo na. Sid.
Okay. Sir, my question is, first of all, brought to you by Seryoso Chili Garlic. I feel like your chili, garlic, seriously, spicy, aromatic, and crispy. Seryoso Chili Garlic is perfect for you. Ito ang chili garlic na seryosong manghang at kaya kang ipaglaban di gaya ng ex mo.
Masarap yan.
Masarap yan.
Offers different chili garlic variations, seryoso, medyo seryoso, mushroom seryoso, and seryoso honey gift sets with Tampipi native boxes are also available. And most importantly, AEOB fans can enjoy a 15% exclusive discount on Shopee. Just use the code big AEOB, all caps yun, and one word upon checkout. Sir, may seryosong tanong for you. No? How difficult or what was going through your mind when Lee Sang-min made that 3-point shot against the Philippines in the 2002 South Korea, Busan Asian Games? You were on that. You were calling that. No. What was going through your mind when he made that shot?
Honestly, oh shit. Oh shit. Talagang, oh shit. We were so near and so far. My heart broke for Olsen, missing the free throws. Knowing Olsen such a fighter and the story of Olsen growth as a player. Players do miss free throws, but what a time and what a bad opportunity to miss. And he doesn't miss that many.
Exactly.
There could be various reasons, but oh shit situation. And that broke a ton of hearts. Chino and I were walking the streets of Busan that night, and it was utter loneliness talaga. Parang matalo na tayo sa kahit anong sport, wag lang yung basketball, and against Korea. Against Korea. And I'm reminded of 1967, which I tell Jay about a lot, when Danny Florencio nailed those two free throws for the Philippines to win. Jay, 73-70, 71-69. 73-70 final score. Florencio hit the last
71-67.
Yeah, he hit the last 4 points. Diba? Yeah. Binangko siya ni Loizaga. My reflection was that. That's why when you asked me to write about the one recently where Brownlee went bananas, I was thinking the same thing. I'll say it out loud what I wrote in that piece you asked me to write. If you look at the video nowadays, I never mentioned any of the names of the Chinese players, and I'm scared like crazy. I just came out of arguing with the producers such as TV5 or sa Signal. Wag mong i-commercial ito. Wag, pinatay namin Mike. Wag mong igagap ito. The guy was insistent on the gap. 1 minute lang ang timeout ng FIBA. Hindi natin pwede i-time. Mamamatay tayo rito. Papatayin tayo ng taong bayan dito pagka hindi natin nakuha ito ng live. So the guy accedes, agrees. And Shena Olaso later on tells me, ikaw lang ang pwedeng gumawa ng ganon. Sabi niya ganon kasi they had to air something and I go, no way. So in my thought, if you listen to the coverage of that game against China, to the corner, to the top of the key, they fire, they miss. The Philippines go to the goal. And I've forgotten completely the names of the Chinese players. I'm gone. And you pointed it out to me, Sid, that it was the same 23 seconds that were left. Of course, at that moment, I didn't realize it until you told me about it, that it was 23 seconds again. And it's nice to be vindicated all over again. So that, to me, were two games that was going on in my mind in both those games. But again, Noel always introduces me in all these workshops, citing that Busan thing. I tried to forget it, but you know naman Noel can be as obnoxious as ever. He will point that out in his usual style. So call that call in 2002, and that's the way the younger man should do it. If he did that during this social media era, he would have been lambasted, which is so true.
Yeah, that's what I wanted to get at, then sir, diba? Kasi I remember you received some flack kasi parang you were perceived to be celebrating the South Korea win, pero that's, you have to be objective pa rin eh.
I sounded dispassionate. Chino was probably doing a better job when he said, "Naku, ang sakit nito, Sev." I remember his line. Ako naman, I simply said, "Korea, what else do you say? The Philippines, its heart is broken. What more can you say? Korea is going," I think I said, "Korea is going into the gold medal round." Yep. Kasi ang laki ng impact ng tira na yun. Now, in this present social media era, if you do that, you would have been bashed and lambasted as being wala kang pakiramdam. You have your good moments and your bad moments. The good moments of recent vintage, of course, were the Asian Games with Brownlee and everything, and of course, Carlos Yulo and that. But you're also balanced and you remain humble with things like that in Korea. And I have my battles with the people in volleyball as well because everybody has an opinion and mas toxic nga ang volleyball at times.
Yeah. They can be very harsh, no? Yung mga fans talaga.
Right.
Thank you, Sid. Ganda nung masarap yung seryoso na yan. Charlie shared that.
Yes, no. You will get. Oh, Jay. Ikaw na, Jay.
Yeah. This dinner segment question is also brought to us by Seryosong Chili Garlic. So, Sev, if you were to have dinner with someone, a sports person, past and present, living or dead, foreigner or Filipino, who would that be, and what will you talk about?
Look at you guys. You have sponsors for everything nowadays. And I love the way you brought. I would want to have dinner with Carlos Loizaga.
Luis
Wow.
Saga. Okay.
Why?
Diba? I wanted to ask about 1954, the Sambeda Ateneo games, the 1967 game ABC where he was the coach. Why didn't he put in Florencio earlier? Because when you ask Florencio and Samboy, and I'm such a Danny Florencio fan kasi. I have never seen a player go under the basket then twist to shoot a turnaround shot. Diba? Iba yung Florencio. That's why Jaworski, he and Jaworski and Florencio had their battles in UST UE nung araw. Yun ang hindi ko maintindihan eh. When I say kuminsan sa UAP coverage, this is one of the classic rivalries, UST and UAE. A lot of people don't get it eh.
Yeah.
Kasi hindi nila nakita yung ganda ng baka nung araw when Dalupan refused to field players, remember?
Yeah. Kaya nagtay. Kaya co-champion eh.
Oh, di ba? The poor guys on the TV coverage didn't know what to do. Di ba? Ayaw lumabas ng UE. Ayaw mag-field ng first five ng UST. Bangayan ang bangayan. And they were...
I'm still reading actually that book that you gave me on yung when we were champions.
Noel,
there was a segment there, about Florencio versus Jaworski. It was a real rivalry nung 60s.
Yes.
Who was the better college player?
To be fair to Noel Albano, who did a marvelous job putting this together, well researched. He dug in the archives. Occasionally, I would help out by looking at the old newspapers, libraries at Ateneo. But he did the bulk of the work, and what a marvelous contribution by Noel Albano. I was happy to share it with the three of you. Nabigyan na kita, Charlie. No, I gave you one. No?
Yes. Thank you.
Yes, I think I gave it to you sa FIBA thing. But I'm happy for you guys. This show is still around and kicking through these years.
Even we can't believe it.
Even we can't believe it, but we're happy that it is. And finally, we got to have Sev Sarmenta on the show as a guest, no? Hindi yung co-host or, may commenting on someone else like Joe Cantada. So thank you so much, sir. But before we let you go, finally, we'll enter the last part. Hello, Porky. Ito yung greeting. Alam mo naman yan. Hello. So this is the batian portion, sir. You can thank, acknowledge, shout out to anyone that you'd like to before we let you go.
I loved it when Joe used to say, good evening, country, good evening, Porky. Di ba? Ang simple niya pagbati sa kanyang anak. I'd like to thank the viewers who have been patient with us. We do not deliver perfect games, but you have been there, faithful, listening to. We have been thrilled to listen to you, our crowd roar every now and then, whether it's Ginebra, the Philippines, or Carlos Yulo. No? We have been given the opportunity to be your eyes, your ears, be in that unique seat where we can share with you information about the sports and athletes that we all love. This is a job we take very seriously. These guys also in AEOB, and this show lives on because of you as well. At the heart of all sports following and playing is you, our fans, and to you we are eternally grateful. We have a job. We are in great seats in these sports events, and we will continue to try to do our best for you as the years go by, as long as God is giving us the strength to do so. Salamat po!
Maraming salamat. Thank you so much. Guys, we finally got Sir Sev on the show. And then, siyempre, si Doc a couple of weeks ago. But we'll keep going on. Maybe we'll take a break next week. I heard, no, Sev? Sid, we'll take a break next week, no? Paundas, eh.
Yes.
So, wala munang episode next week. They will announce who our next guest is going to be. At abangan nyo po yan. Sir, thank you so much for sharing all of that. I'm sure we could go for another hour or two, but maybe we can save that for some other time. Sa ngalan ng aking mga kasamahan, hindi pa pala. Remind everyone we're part of the Globally Ballin Network. We'd like to thank Aaron and Carla behind the scenes. SMC, maraming salamat for powering our show. Tuminugan Farm, Seryoso, Chili Garlic, as well, yung mga PBA Archives, PH Basketball Diaries, PH Sports Bureau. Salamat sa inyo for all the help. Birthdays in the past couple of weeks. Kinito, Dodot, Atoy ko, Rad Pasco, Charlie Fabis, Darren Queen, and Noli Locsin, Egay Macaraya, and my uncle Chicky Ocampo yesterday. Happy birthday sa inyo lahat. So yan, ito ang episode 234. It's now in the books for Sid Ventura and Jay Mercado, who popped in today by surprise. Thank you so much.
I was hoping he would come, Really, thank you, Jay.
Oh, di ba? Sumipot. Hindi niya matiis. Yung dalaman niya, wala yung isa, pasok siya. Di ba? Ganun talaga.
Asynchronous na ako ngayon.
Yeah, very good, very good. Thank you so much. Yeah, you have a bunch of teachers also in this show, no? So, di ba? Well, puro tayo mga guru rin dito. Thank you everybody for watching. God bless you all. Have a great weekend. Sir Sev, mabuhay pa kayo. I'll see you at the games.
Bye.
And tuloy-tuloy ang PBA
Thank you,
finals
sir.
natin. Thank you everybody. Carla, Aaron, everybody. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Congratulations to Aaron.
A leader in key sectors so vital to the growth of our nation. Food, beverage, packaging, infrastructure, energy, and power. Proudly Filipino, through our well-loved brands, we carry the flag overseas. Yet we've always held out for ourselves a larger purpose. To use our scale, size, and dynamism to deliver products and services that can unlock and accelerate new opportunities for growth and drive our economy forward. We are committed to contribute to a resilient and globally competitive Philippines, where businesses like San Miguel can use their resources and imagination to expand the economy and ensure that prosperity is widely shared. Today, our focus is on generating investments and projects that will enable our country to achieve its full promise. Malasakit is woven into all that we do, from ensuring that more Filipinos are food secure, have access to reliable, sustainable, and affordable energy, world-class roads, airports, mass transit, stronger communities, and greater economic opportunities. We are helping build the Philippines that can carry our 110 million strong population into a future whose defining challenges of our time will be an energy transition, resource scarcity, and the need for greater inclusiveness. As a company, we have set our sights on building the nation of our dreams by leveraging our expertise, leadership, and reach. As San Miguel, we will do what it takes to build a better future for all Filipinos.